Hello and welcome to the Travel Show, coming to you this week from Kerala in southern India, with me, Henry Golding. Later on in the show, I try my hand, or should I say face, at the traditional dance form of Kathakali. Now that's still to come, but here's what else is coming up on this week's show. We're in New York, finding out whether tourist dollars can help save some of the city's iconic churches. And Tommy's here with his latest global gadgets. This week, one gizmo has him dancing on ice, quite literally. New York's home to some of the world's best-known gospel churches, but as gentrification takes hold of neighborhoods like Harlem, some locals feel they're being pushed out. We sent Greg McKenzie to take a look.
Harlem is the USA's most famous African-American community and the cultural capital of Black America. Until recently, Harlem was off the tourist map, once run by gangs and drug pushers. Today it's thriving and property prices here have skyrocketed. Rents have almost doubled in the last 10 years. Even the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, has his office here in Harlem.
This neighborhood became known as Sugar Hill. Sugar meaning money, and if you had money, this was the neighborhood that you moved into.
Harlem, I would say, is the most legendary neighborhood in the United States of America.
Many visitors come here just to hear the unique sounds of the gospel church choirs. In Harlem alone, there are more than 400 houses of worship, which consist of Baptist, Roman Catholic, Methodist, and various other denominations.
The congregation goes all the way back to 1805, and this church was erected here in 1920.
Gospel tours are listed as one of the 10 top visitor attractions in New York City, and tourists here are a welcome sight.
And this is one of the last churches Martin Luther King visited before he was assassinated, and he gave a speech here. Churches are struggling not only here in Harlem, but worldwide to maintain their congregation, and we welcome visitors to Harlem on gospel tours because it helps them to keep the lights on. It helps them to maintain the property, and at the same time, they're expanding their message.
But it's not just the financial needs of many places of worship. Gentrification is starting to make a huge impact on congregation numbers, causing less wealthy African Americans to leave Harlem because of rising rents and property prices. In the last 5 years, more than 20 Baptist churches and local church groups have closed. This year, another 3 buildings are earmarked for closure to make way for high-end apartments.
By and large, gentrification is a bad thing because what it means is that Harlem is being remade, not for the people who live there, who are part of this demographic where half of the people who live in Harlem make less than $36,000 a year. But when they create new apartments that have $3,000 a month studio apartments and $3 million penthouses, that's not for that demographic. So it's not a good thing because no matter how bad things were in the past, at least you had a place to live which you could afford. At least you had a church. Now, the church, which was so invaluable to the African American experience because it was utilized as a tool to liberate black people from slavery and then to gain civil rights, is being undermined by this gentrification, which is happening so fast and furious that it's in danger of displacing an entire community.
I want to just point out to you, folks, the world famous Apollo Theater.
It's a similar story over in the Bronx, which is my next stop on the gospel tours of the city.
Folks, as we cross over this bridge, we're crossing out of Manhattan and Harlem into the outer borough of the Bronx.
The Bronx is a less travelled tourist road. It's the birthplace of hip-hop culture. The Bronx as you see it today is nothing like the gangster movies of the 70s and 80s. There's a renaissance happening here.
Okay, folks, follow me, please.
We arrive at the Greater Universal Baptist Church. It's one of the oldest in the neighbourhood.
So this is the tour. We're about to go in and experience it firsthand.
The service lasts for an hour and you're encouraged to join in. And we're soon hearing what gospel church choirs are famous for. The sounds are uplifting and you feel part of something special.
An amazing experience. Now, I must admit, when I first got here this morning, I wasn't sure what to expect, but the congregation made us all feel so welcome.
It was an amazing experience, amazing. You just felt really good and happy with the service.
And you wanted to join in?
Yeah,
and say hallelujah all the time?
And everything. It was fantastic.
I've seen this on television many times, but now you were, well, incorporating and we felt very welcome. It was impressive.
New Zealand. Canada.
Churches here in the Bronx are facing the same problems as their Harlem neighbours, gentrification.
We're decreasing because there's a lot of people moving out, a lot of people are dying off, but they're building. If you can just look out here, you can see that they're continuing to build around here, so there are different people coming in.
Tourist dollars alone won't be able to save these truly amazing churches, but with additional support from government and campaigns being set up to save the local heritage, it's hoped you'll still be able to hear these unique sounds for at least some years yet.
And if you're thinking about heading over to New York anytime soon, then here are some of the travel show's top tips. New York's often thought of as just the island of Manhattan. There are 4 other boroughs that make up the city. The borough of Queens is famous for its sporting venues, but it's also home to cutting-edge art galleries and museums. If you're a jazz fan, try the Louis Armstrong House Museum, still preserved as it was when Louis and his wife Lucille lived there. Unusually for a city, New York has 14 miles of coastline. The boroughs of Staten Island and Brooklyn have the most number of beaches. Swimming at the city's beaches is prohibited during winter, but you can still visit for a walk along the sands. And head to the Bronx if you fancy a green escape. Its botanical gardens cover 250 acres and contain more than 1 million plants. This year marks the 125th anniversary of the founding of the gardens, and there's a series of special events scheduled to celebrate. Entrance to the gardens is free on a Wednesday. For other days and seasonal exhibitions, tickets can be purchased online. Time now for your travel update. First to London, where the city's biggest ever light festival was so popular that some of the lights had to be switched off. Concerns that some areas were becoming dangerously overcrowded led organisers to temporarily shut parts of the festival down. The 4-day free event featured installations from 30 artists, illuminating iconic landmarks across the city. Millions of Catholics gathered in the Venezuelan city of Barquisimeto to pay tribute to the Divine Shepherdess in a religious ceremony dating back to 1856. Today, around 2.5 million people join the procession, which takes place once a year. Excellent wind and wave conditions resulted in a spectacular show at North America's largest kitesurfing event. Riders' skills were put to the test at the 6th Lord of the Wind kitesurfing competition, with a thrilling big air contest which saw contestants jumping as high as 11.5 meters into the air. Some tourists and residents in Russia's capital, Moscow, were pleased to see snow return to the capital city after an unseasonably warm December.
We came for snow, so we like very much snow, and it's different from our country. And today is not so cold, so it's quite nice.
14,000 snowplows and trucks were put to work clearing the city's roads and streets. And in the UK, 8,000 square miles of coastline have been given extra protection. It's hoped that the new designation of marine conservation zones will help protect habitats and species that are considered under threat. The new conservation zones mean that 20% of English waters are now protected. Coming up later on in the show, I'll be trying to keep up with the nimble-footed dancers of Kerala. So stay with us for that. The Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're headed.
Hello and welcome to the famous mountain range just outside North London. And with the ski season well underway all around the world, I've got a set of gadgets for you that will make you super cool on the slopes. Before we even get out to the snow, let's be honest, a massive part of the fun of a trip like this lies in the après-ski activities, and with these you can bring some of those extracurricular activities right onto the slopes with you, with shot poles.
These ski poles are quite possibly for the skier who has everything. The unique thing about these is the user can fill the poles with up to 75 millilitres of their favourite drink. Overall, it's a ski pole with a unique feature sure to entertain as well as serve a purpose.
In a practical sense, these are a good set of poles because of these straps that clip on and clip off really easily. But in terms of having a drink inside the pole, it's a novelty thing. I mean, I think most people will wait until they get back to the lodge before they have a drink, right? I mean, most sensible people, and you are sensible, aren't you? Aren't you? One thing every snowboarder and skier needs to do is to capture their finest moments. You don't want to miss out on reliving something completely awesome that happens on the slopes. And the best way to do that is with a little mobile camera. Now, there are lots to choose from in the market, including this brand new addition.
This tiny HD camera comes with a built-in microphone. It works much like the cameras on a high-end smartphone, which begs the question, why would I actually want one of these as well? It's quirky, but it's not really designed for adventure sports, as you can't clip it onto your helmet or your skis. You also need to download an app to get the full benefits of the gadget, like real-time sharing and view what you're actually filming.
Me and skiing are like that. I'm going to show you what I'm all about and put this to the test. Helmet, please. And away we go. Are you sure no one will realise? Great. That was exhausting. I love it. Such a rush. If you're like me, then you'll want to take your music wherever you go, and the slopes should be no different. But safety is also important. So here's a little way of combining the two.
This is a communication helmet fitted with Beats by Dr. Dre headphones, which are built into the neck roll, allowing the user to listen to their music via a smartphone or an MP3 player. The helmet is lightweight and quite well ventilated. It comes with a cable that plugs into the helmet and your phone, which then allows you to control the volume and track selection.
The sound quality on this is actually really good, and as a helmet it's quite snug and comfortable. But if you are a beginner skier or snowboarder, then it's not recommended that you have music playing whilst you're on the slopes, because you're going to need to keep your wits about you.
Well, to end this week, we're off to India and heading south to Kerala, a land of lush green forests, canals and coconuts. It's also the home of Kathakali, an intricate form of classical dance that has been performed here for centuries and is now high on the list of things many tourists come here to see. To learn more about Kathakali, I've come here to meet a man whose family have been performing the dance for the past 100 years here in Cochin. Mr. Devan, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much. This is your theatre. Amazing. Central to Kathakali is the complex ritual makeup, which turns the performers into supernatural beings, gods and demons. The process of applying the makeup can take many hours, and here in Cochin, it's applied directly in front of the audience and forms part of the performance.
There's a singer, he sings the stories.
A river flowing.
There's a drummer, he supports. The dancer translates these songs through movement of eyebrows, eyes, eye muscles, lips, fingers, footwork. And all these stories come from the Hindu books, religious books.
Originally developed as a way of teaching religious scripture to rural audiences, Kathakali is now also a big draw for tourists coming here to Kerala. I'm very curious to know, how do you tell a story with your eyebrows, your cheeks, your lips, and your fingers? Can you teach me?
To start with, there are 24 alphabets in the language, Kathakali language. Each alphabet a position of the hand.
And so show me a little segment of how you would use the alphabets to tell the story.
Please. Please, come.
And so with the eye movements, what different types of eye movements do you have?
Rolling the eyes is just getting excited.
And then?
Up and down.
Up and down?
Sideways.
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 I think it's me being an amateur, but when I tried to do it, my vision blurs, but your vision doesn't blur.
Long.
Oh, okay. So you focus in a distance.
Long distance.
Long distance. Right. I'm focusing up here. That's why I'm doing a crosshair.
That is very.
That's the secret.
A lotus flower opening.
Once you combine the facial expressions with hand gestures, then you have a classic Kathakali sentence. But something tells me I've still got some way to go before I could ever be understood.
Slowly, please. Then
bees coming to the flower. Bees.
Team those moves with some fancy footwork, and you have a performance. In theory, at least. That's very good, very impressive. I'm not very good at all, am I? I can imagine with all the makeup on, the full regalia, probably odd 100 people looking at you, and of course that Indian heat to challenge you, about 47 degrees I think, but scrutiny of your every single step and your eyeball movement. I think I'd crack under the pressure.
Traditionally, a classic Kathakali performance can go on for many hours, sometimes a whole night. But some modern audiences have shorter attention spans, so the art form has had to adapt.
You lost me!
You know, the original one, it goes throughout a night. You know, everything is in detailed, everything is intricate. You know, and nowadays we are condensing it for a 1 hour, 1.5, 2 hour program. So in a way, we do lose our originality. What is done for us and, you know, throughout a night, that's not being shown now.
It represents the fire god, Agni.
But whether the performance is a marathon-length all-nighter or something more contained, the highlight of the show is always the appearance on stage of Pasha, wearing his traditional green makeup and using steps originally choreographed hundreds of years ago to entertain and captivate audiences of today.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week, but do join us next week when...
Carmen's in Hawaii, getting up close to one of the world's most active volcanoes.
If you listen very carefully, you can hear what sounds like thunder in the distance. And apparently this is the heat from inside the crater causing the rocks on the rim to fall inside to the molten lava.
And don't forget, you can keep up to date with us wherever we are in the world by signing on to our social media feeds. All the details should be on your screens now. But for me, Henry Golding, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Kerala, it's goodbye.